Welcome back to Hardball. The Obama administration's strategy to delegitimize Fox News has had mixed reviews, even from other media outlets. Vanity Fair contributing editor Michael Wolff has a theory about the White House's larger goal here and the Fox News role in that goal. John Nichols, Washington correspondent for The Nation, is skeptical about the strategy. They both join me now. Let's go through Michael Wolff's theory. As I understand it from his blog, the White House strategy is simply this: identify republicanism with conservatism, say it's the same thing, and tie it all into Fox and all into rabid opposition to an incredibly popular piece of legislation like health care. In other words, marginalize the Republican Party as a party of the right, not really a governing party, a party that just makes noise, as opposed to a new, broad, mainstream liberal consensus which is governing the country right now. Is that a fair take on what you're saying?
Absolutely. It's like the conservatives and the Republicans did to Democrats. They said everyone's a liberal. You're a liberal. You're a liberal. Everyone went, oh. And essentially what they're doing is flipping that back and saying you're Fox. Oh, you mean like Fox. Oh, you're echoing the Fox opinion. And the truth is, Fox is not very popular in this country. It may have great ratings, but still we're talking under 2 million people. It's a really marginal, somewhat extreme presence in the United States.
Why do people who listen to Rush Limbaugh, and he's a hell of a broadcaster, why do they listen to him and say proudly they're ditto heads? Isn't it an embarrassing thing to admit that you buy completely what somebody else says?
Well, absolutely. So if you are if you identify the broader Republican Party with that, then they go, oh, my God,
they're all ditto heads.
This is not really where we want to be, and this is where other people don't want to be either.
And also you're saying Mitch McConnell, John Boehner, that cigarette-smoking golfer that's head of the Republican Party in the Congress, he looks like a guy who just blew a putt. Did you ever watch him?
Yeah.
Anyway, those guys all look now like ditto heads.
Absolutely. And
because they, by the way, every time somebody says something against Rush Limbaugh,
they're not even
they apologize like mad.
Yes, they're kind of deprofessionalized, and the professionals then become Rush and the people on Fox and Roger Ailes. So they're going to get to the point where Roger Ailes is running this party, or even more. You know, I just wrote this book about Rupert Murdoch, and one of the things, the really profound things I learned, is how unpopular he is. Yeah. They think he's a kind of shadow figure. So if you make that identification, then you essentially delegitimize the Republicans.
Yeah, by the way, the standard technique is buy a news organization, take it down market, and move it to the right. He's done it since he bought the Times of London, the New York Post, that Boston Herald. What?
Well, I would do, just a brief defense. That's not true with Sky Television, and it may not be true with the Wall Street Journal.
Hopefully.
Rupert would like to be a little more liberal. He's kind of stuck with Fox now.
Let's go to John Nichols with another view. John, what do you make of the White House strategy of saying Republican equals conservative equals right wing, the way the right used to say Democrat equals liberal equals lefty? Does it work?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, I respect Michael a great deal, and I would actually very much like his theory to be correct. The problem is I've heard theories like this before from people you'll remember, Chris, Kevin Phillips and Lynn Nofziger and even Karl Rove, all of whom had a fantasy that the political center had moved so far to their side that if they could just demonize the other party enough, find a media outlet to bang on and attach it to the other party, you could throw them off the cliff. The problem is that when all was said and done, most of those guys were proven wrong.
Well, for a long time, they banged on the head of Dan Rather at CBS, right? He was their bad boy, right? Fairly or not, he was their target.
Yeah, but he had to get... Yeah, absolutely, and Dan Rather had to get to be like 75 years old before they could finally get rid of him. And,
well,
and all means. I'm telling you is, well, what it means is they didn't exactly take him out when Richard Nixon wanted to take him out.
No, the point is not to take out a media figure. It's to destroy a political party by identifying it with a person that they can argue is off-center. That's what I mean.
And the truth is the Republicans have had an enormous amount of success attacking liberal media. So this is just the reverse, essentially.
Okay,
now we're attacking conservative media.
John, let me try something by you, not to take your side on this, although I have a weird version of it, which is Chicago-style politics. Acts like there isn't another party, just to attack the crazies out there. You can make a lot of money in this business, cable television and radio certainly, with 5% of the audience. You can build a huge following and be very successful in terms of not just money, but reaching lots of fans. You can't build a governing political party with 5%. So it could be that Rush Limbaugh has a different, whatever his percentage is different than the purposes of the Republican National Party. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
And, if you don't want
I
to go
think you're
on,
absolutely right, Chris. Well, I think you're absolutely right, Chris, but here's the challenge on it. As somebody of the left, I went through the period with George Bush where we did a lot of criticism of George Bush, and we hit him very, very hard. In fact, a lot of liberal media was very out front on that, and we had members of Congress sometimes who were very allied with it. But at the end of the day, in 2006 and 2008, when the Democrats went to win, they successfully positioned themselves a little bit toward the center from where the harsh criticism was. If the Republicans are too stupid to do that, then Michael will be proven right. On the other hand, if the Republicans figure out a little bit of a pivot here, they can have all the benefits of an energized base, all the Fox people, along with a run toward the center that might make them relatively politically viable in 2010.
I got another point on this, because if Fox is at least partly, if not the agenda setter, the tone setter for the Republican Party, this attack by the White House on Fox is not bad for Fox. So Fox, at the end of the day, doesn't care who's president. All they care is about their audience share and their advertising dollars. And if this is working for them, which I think it is, they're going to become even more extreme, even more oddball-like, and again cast an even larger shadow on the Republican Party.
I guess it comes down to, would you rather be the Polish government or the Polish government in exile back in the 40s. I mean, they were heroic as hell over there in London, but they weren't running Poland. The Lublins, in fact, took over after the war with the Soviets, put them in. But, you know, it's always more exciting to be in opposition. It's also always more exciting to be the opposition government, basically.
Well, also, and if you're in the television business, it's going to be more profitable. So that's again and again and again what they're going to come back to. They are, and that's the other thing, is that Fox is inviting this fight with the Obama administration. You saw that thing about Roger Ailes running for president or not running for president.
Have you guys noticed, by the way, since we're all in the business here together, isn't it fun, John, to read George Will when his party's out of power? He's a lot better. His sarcasm, his satire is brilliant. As a flack for the incumbents or defenders of the incumbents, he's just another conservative. But my God, when they get out of power, he's dynamite. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rush Limbaugh was lousy. Rush Limbaugh was lousy in the last years of the Bush administration because here he was defending something he didn't like. And so, yeah, it's always good to be in that opposition position. But again, Michael's core point here, and it's an important one, is that this is really damage to the Republican Party. And all I would suggest is that if Barack Obama really wants to damage the Republican Party, I'd say go on Fox and show yourself to be a really able...
Well, I would never do that. By the way, here's the president. John, here's the president on that very subject talking to Savannah Guthrie of NBC about Fox News as an organization. I think he's not going to do what you suggest. Here he is.
I think that what our advisors have simply said is that we are going to take media as it comes, and if media is operating basically as a talk radio format, then that's one thing, and if it's operating as a news outlet, then that's another. But it's not something I'm losing a lot of sleep over.
Boy, there's Aloof. You want a picture of Aloof, John? Yeah. He's basically saying, I'm not going to deign to even show up, let alone, I mean, recognize them, let alone show up on their air. I mean, they don't even do the Fox broadcast on weekends, the Chris Wallace show. I mean, they've made a point of dropping all that stuff.
I mean, I think that there is a further point here, which is that the president really doesn't like these guys. You know, during the campaign when Obama had this meeting with Murdoch, and Murdoch brought Ailes in, you know,
Ailes being the head of Fox.
Yeah, the president got really, or the soon-to-be president got really close to him, knee to knee, and bit his head off. I mean, it was real. It was real animus.
So where are we going on this? Let me ask you this: the test, the proof of the pudding is whether somebody pursues a policy for more than a couple of months. John, do you believe they're going to continue to hammer at the right-wing media, the right-wing columnists, the right-wing radio, the right-wing television network? Are they going to just pulverize them with hopes that they can marginalize them, or will they change policy in the next year or so? That's how you know who's winning.
I think they're going to change policy. I think what you'll... Well, here's the subtlety. I think you'll see, even in the midst of this health care fight, a member of the cabinet, somebody within the administration, go on Greta Van Susteren or something like that, and we'll make a big deal about it.
Okay.
But most of America won't notice or care.
Okay, let me ask you.
At the end of the day, I think that you'll see the Obama administration shift back into a more cooperative approach.
Not in a million years. They're going to go because it works to criticize the media. The media hates it.
But they'll never go on Fox.
Nobody else does, and they won't go on Fox.
I like it when people disagree here. It makes me happy. Happy Christmas, everybody. Anyway, thank you, Michael Wolff. He's a great writer. Great. John Nichols, good luck with everything you write in Nation.